Good morning. Giving honor to the God Most High, thank you for allowing us to do your work. Thank you, Pastor, church family, and any guest for this opportunity to speak before you today. This message today is truly about faith, the power of belief and failure. For the true believers in this temple, this message is nothing new, but an enhancement of your prior knowledge. As my father would say, a bonus. But for the ones in doubt and not fully convinced on God's glory and goodness, this message will transform you. Believe it or not, church family, we may have to fail at something to understand the true meaning of its value. Anything worth achieving won't come easy. Now, just because you fail, it doesn't make you a loser. You only lose when you decide to stop trying. You see, we have to transform and become the individuals that God intended us to be. And sometimes failure is just a part of the transformation. You can't run from it like Jonah in the whale, because you might be swallowed up by life, like Jonah in the whale. Some individuals can go a lifetime giving up on their dreams, all because of their fear of failure. You have to believe that you are blessed and highly favored, meaning you are a warrior for God. Your dreams and ideas of making this world a better place are not dreams, but realities. You are the next LeBron James. You are the next Steve Jobs. You are the next Oprah Winfrey. You are the next Barack Obama. Church family, putting God first and then fear in the back seat. Understanding the Lord is truly your shepherd changes everything.
Let us pray. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for the name's sake. For yea, shall I walk through the valley of death, in the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. The Lord is with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou oint my head in oil, thou cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen.
Awesome job, baby. Failure. Have you ever failed at something? Well, if you're not alone. Failure may come at some point in your life. Whether you're studying for a test and don't pass, whether you're trying to get a certification and don't succeed, at some point, it will happen to us all. But what makes it different is how individuals handle this failure. Now, no one wakes up and says, woohoo, I can't wait to fail this test. Or I can't wait to do better my presentation. At least no one who put the work in. I can remember before I started my business, my friend said to me, Homer, suppose it doesn't work. You see, when we put time, effort, in accomplishing a goal, we expect good results. This is true because we plan, we prepare, we train, we practice. We put countless hours in to see things go the way we intended. So when things don't work out the way we want it to, it's a little pain. But you see, it hurts to fail. It hurts when you go on a job interview and you understand this is the perfect job for you. You spend days practicing and preparing for the interview. Your friends give you interview questions. You research the job. You do your homework, do your history. You give it your all, 110%, only to find out after the interview, they decide not to hire you. You see, it hurts to fail. When working on my master's, I was in classes with some of the best students on campus. I had Calculus 1, Calculus 2, Calculus 3, Advanced Cal. I was taking classes where there were only symbols and letters, no numbers, making A's in all the classes. So when it was time to take my teaching certification test, I was on top of my game. In my mind, I was the best. I took the test, and I did not pass. I did not pass the teaching certification test for mathematics grades 6 through 12. So here I am thinking, what did I do wrong? What was my mistake? I had two options. I could take it again, or I could leave it behind me and study even harder. I chose the latter. This time, I did a few things different. I had to humble myself first. Had to realize I wasn't the best. I could be defeated if I don't prepare like I need to. I had to go back and study. Because I had some of the harder classes, I've forgotten some of the skills I had to master over time. That morning, I had a good breakfast. And when I finished, I talked to God. I took it again, I passed the test. But you see, that experience, it made me stronger. It made me stronger both mentally and physically. But without failing for that very first time, I would have gained nothing. You see, it hurts to fail because it's painful. It's more emotional and physical pain, a lot more emotional than physical pain. But we have let this pain make us stronger. We can't lie down in self-pity or depressed. We must learn to do better next time, come back stronger, faster, smarter, more intelligent than the previous time. Now, understand this as well. Things may not work out the way we intended because it's not the way God intended. We have to be built up to do great things. Now, meditate on that for a minute. We have to be built up to do great things. I can't teach you Calculus 3 if I haven't mastered Calculus 1 and 2. Look at Moses. He had no idea that he would part the Red Sea with an army chasing him. His only task at first was to tell Pharaoh, let my people go. You see, he was unaware that God had something bigger and prepared for him. He did not know the final plan, like you may not know the final plan. Look at David. He slayed Goliath, and he was only a shepherd, and then moved on to became king. At that time, he didn't know the final plan. I can recall countless hours where I spent studying math textbooks, memorizing formulas, x equals, negative b, plus or minus b squared, square root of ba squared minus 2ac, quadratic formula. I can remember times where it spent me hours just comprehending 2 pages in a math textbook. I had no idea what God had in store for me. I had no idea that one day I would be the owner of a tutoring company. To God be the glory. If I would have failed my educator's test, my life would have been totally different. Totally different. Now, I'm not saying plan to fail, because if you plan to fail, well then you will fail. Proverbs 23:7, the King James Version says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Confucius even says, the man who says I can and the man who says I cannot are both correct. So stated, if you plan to fail, then you will fail. So what I'm saying, when things don't work on your favor, you must learn from mistakes, or you gain nothing but wasted time. So if you fail the first time, the second time, the third time, what it means is train harder, study longer, work longer, reevaluate the whole process, and try it again from a different angle. What it doesn't mean is quit. Did you know that Michael Jordan was cut from the high school basketball team? That this is Michael Jordan, 6 rings, 6. All of them fit on one hand, 6. Championships. He was cut. He wasn't the best at that time. But what he said was that failure, that burning desire, made him push and try even harder. And now the rest is history. Andy Reid. Now, unless you know about football, you know what Andy Reid is. But you may have heard of Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid was fired from his previous job in Philadelphia. Andy Reid was fired. He went 4-12 for 2 consecutive seasons. They let him go. So instead of retiring, he said, I'm going to try it again. He went to the Chiefs and made it to the postseason playoffs 9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10, made it to the Super Bowl 3 times and winning twice. and even beating the former team that fired him, the Eagles. Barack Obama. Did you know when he first ran for U.S. Senate, he didn't win? He did not win. His friend said, man, you got to leave it alone. What are you doing? This is not for you. Stay with what you do, what you know. He said, no, I got to do it again. And he did. He became senator and moved on to become president. Now, what do all these people have in common? They failed, but they did not quit. And that's the thing. If we fail, we cannot quit. Now, there'll be times in life when things may get too overwhelming, and we got to put it in God's hand. There's a fight that's physical, and sometimes the one that's spiritual. And when it gets spiritual, we have to let the Lord take over. God has to intervene. In 1 Samuel chapter 30, it tells us about a story of David. And while away from camp with his soldiers, the enemy raided his camp, and they took everything. They took the women, the wives, the children, everything they had. So when they came back, they were devastated. His soldiers were upset, crying, grown men crying, and they wanted to kill David. They were plotting to stone him. David thought for a second. He got on his knees, and he talked to God. It's written, he talked to God and asked, Lord, what should I do? Because the thought was so strong, what may happen if he failed again? His friends may kill him. So after talking to God, the Lord told him what to do, and he became quite successful. So, understand this, church family. Failure is a stepping stone to success. Failure is all in how you perceive it. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times to invent the light bulb. But when I asked him, he said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I just found 1,000 ways why it wouldn't work. Failure and getting something out is called learning. Church family, we cannot be afraid to learn. We're never too old or too young to learn. To make this transformation that JR spoke of earlier, certain things have to take place that we may not be aware of. The road's not always smooth, the sky's not always sunny, and the harvest is not always plentiful. But I can tell you this from experience in my lifetime. Through every tunnel, no matter how long, how large, how small, how narrow, there is always light at the end of that tunnel. Always. Now, we must be able to see it. Some people go through an experience or define a moment and get nothing from it. It's all in how you perceive everything. Is the bottle half full or is it half empty? Let me leave you with this as it was told to me. There was a young man in the park, and he saw this cocoon, and a small butterfly was trying to get out. So the butterfly flapped his wings and flapped his wings, but he couldn't quite get out. And the young man watched it for quite a time and saw the butterfly. So after watching and seeing the butterfly fail and fail and fail, he decided to help him. So he got a stick and kind of parted the cocoon slightly so it would open. The butterfly crawled out a little bit, tried to move his wings, and it fell to the ground. The young man, not knowing what happened, went home and talked to his dad. He said, Dad, what happened? Why did the butterfly fail? He said, son, it wasn't quite ready yet. You see, every time it was in that cocoon flapping his wings, it was getting stronger. The wings had to get powerful enough so he could tear out the cocoon on his own. So the message is, church family, sometimes in life we must fail to get where God needs us to be.
Just to conclude, it's okay to fail. However, don't let failure overcome you. Remember, if God is with you, then who can be against you?